We got 9 games on a short Thursday MLB slate. Some of them rocking here in the afternoon that we'll touch upon at the top. And we got plenty going after 6:20 Eastern. Which of those games should we be betting, though? That's what you're here to find out on First Pitch Wager Talk TV. While you're hanging out with us, hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you are subscribed. Who's joining me to break down these games? I got Tokyo Brandon and Adam Trigger, two of the hottest guys on the diamond over at WagerTalk.com. And in Tokyo Brandon's case, year over year, the man just keeps producing, whether it is in KBO, which my man Trig is also rocking in, or MLB, which we'll be talking today. I'm excited to have you guys on. And also, give that like button a smash for Tokyo Brandon. He told me it's 3 a.m. where he's at in Japan. So the man is here waking up in the middle of the night. He deserves at least a like and then a package purchase after that. But TB, let's get into it, man, so we can get you back to bed, brother. Cubs and Giants. Really, I look at this game and it's Imanaga is the one thing maybe standing between that 4-game sweep here for the Giants. Is that how you see it? It's Hicks opposing him, but really this is Chicago's last chance at kind of working out what's happened. It's been pitching, but it's been the pitching of the Giants seemingly in this series. How are you looking to bet this one, brother?
Yeah, Imanaga came out to a big start, but if you look at him, he's actually not that good of a pitcher, and I really wasn't a big fan of his when he was in Japan either. If you look at how he's been pitching late, I think people are kind of taking notes on him and catching up to what he's doing. Let's put it that way. He, in his last couple of starts, last start he gave up 10 runs, but before that he gave up 1, 2, and 1. So yeah, he did have a 7-burger against the Brewers before that. So I think teams are starting to catch on to him. He was good like right around 2016. He was with the Yokohama Bay Stars, and they actually won the Japan Series, which is Japan's version of the World Series. But since 2018 or so, even in Japan, he was kind of tailing off a little bit. So I was kind of surprised when he went to Major League and was that good. I think people are catching up. I do my numbers. I rank all the starting pitchers. I think I have 250 starting pitchers in my database, and I curve them to 30 so I can compare it to the bullpens and the hitting. So just to share my rankings with people, I have the Cubs ranked 24th in batting, and I have their bullpen ranked 27th out of 30, and I have Imanaga on a curve of 30. I have Imanaga ranked 18 out of 30. So he's below average, despite his great start. Giants, on the other hand, now I'm not a Jordan Hicks fan. He's one of those pitchers that lets you down quite often. But I have him ranked 17 out of 30. So he's one rank higher than Imanaga on a 30 curve. But what I really like about the Giants is they're batting number 11 out of 30 teams. And this is a database compiling a bunch of different stats. And I combine recent form with season form and a bunch of other variables. So I have the Giants batting 11th right now in Major League Baseball, and I have their bullpen ranked 13. I have a lot of advantages here for the Giants, and Imanaga is good, but he's not that good. He's pretty average pitcher. So I actually like the Giants in this one. They're underdogs mainly because Imanaga is pitching, but I think the luster is kind of wearing off of his shine here. And the Giants, I think, were plus 110 here. I think that's good. I think the Giants are a much better team. Anytime you can take the team with the better and the better bullpen, I think that's good value. So I like the Giants here.
Yeah, and I think if you do like the Giants, any of that plus money is really gone. I mean, you're basically looking at a pick-em price. 107, 103 is kind of the splits that we're looking at across the board here. So any of that plus money that you hope to maybe get, that's gone away. But still, the Giants worth the look and completing the sweep, says our man Tokyo Brandon. Hop below in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking about that. Or Any other games you want us to hit on here? Again, it's a short slate. We're definitely going to be hitting 4 games here. We just hit Giants, Cubs for you. Tokyo Brandon coming up, going to talk Cleveland and Royals in his best bet segment. Adam Traeger's with us. He'll talk Angels and Tigers later. But right now, let's talk about those Yankees who are taking on the Blue Jays. Subway Series didn't quite go the way that most people expected. That damn Grimace just can't get away. I don't know if you guys saw the video of during the rain delay. There was someone dressed in the full Grimace costume, just ripping and shotgunning beers. So it was just it's finally fun for Mets fans again, and getting to take it to the big brother, so to speak. Probably a always a fun one there. But now the Yankees move on. They look and turn their eyes here to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm wondering for you, Trig, is it just, hey, Yankees, you throw out that series? We kept trying to ride the bounce back. It never quite came. Is this where the bounce back finally comes when they make the trip up north to take on Toronto?
Well, first, I think, Dan, the Yankees are everyone's big brother, right? And I think that's part of the reason
fair.
that you've seen.
That's a good.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like they're everyone's rival. They're everyone's big game. So when the Yankees have a stretch of schedule where they have to go to Fenway Park and then play the Orioles, and then play the Braves, and then go play 2 at Citi Field, like that's a tough stretch for anyone. Any team in Major League Baseball that has to face that stretch is probably not getting out, better than like 500, especially with how the Mets have been playing of late, how the Red Sox have been playing. The Orioles, we'll probably talk about them later, but they're still as good of a team as you're going to find in Major League Baseball. So the point I'm trying to make is both of these teams have been struggling, but I don't think they're equal struggles. Meaning, the Yankees have lost 9 of 12. The Jays had lost 7 straight. They finally won on Tuesday. They were kind of rained out yesterday. But the point is, like, the Jays, in my opinion, the struggle's very real there, right? Like it's free fall type struggle. They have no bullpen. They have a lineup of guys who are consistently underachieving. Prior to the win, they had lost 7 in a row. So yeah, I think it's far more likely that you see the Yankees have some success and bounce back here than the Blue Jays. Now, I also think you could the over has some value in this game, because I don't think either pitcher is coming in a great spot. So, Carlos Rodon, his sort of season very much mirrored that of what the Yankees have done. He won 7 straight starts when everything was running good, and then he ran into the Red Sox and the Braves and took it on the chin, right? Kind of like the Yankees had the last couple weeks, just completely slammed in those 2 games. So followed up 7 straight wins, not just 7 straight winning starts, 7 straight starts where I believe he was the pitcher of record and got the win by getting slammed, in back-to-back games. Now, I think he could bounce back here, but I recall a bet I had earlier in the year. I was on the Yankees. They played at the Blue Jays. They played the Blue Jays. I backed Rodon in that start, and they were really tough on him, meaning every at-bat was a good at-bat. Theoretically, this Blue Jays offense should be much better against left-handed pitching. They made him work. He was out, I believe, in the 4th inning, and it could have been way worse. Like, credit Rodon for really battling in that start against the Blue Jays, because they were on the brink of like blowing him up, and he got out of a couple jams and managed to keep the damage reasonable. So that's, like, I guess my concern for backing him. And the reason I kind of tilt toward the over as well is, Jose Barrios has really struggled as well. I mean, last 3 starts, he has a 6.48 ERA. Dan, he's allowed 6 homers in the last 3 starts. That's, an awful different look from the Barrios we saw earlier in the year. Some of the Yankees have elite numbers against him, specifically, arguably the best player in the league, Aaron Judge, who's hitting .414 in 35 plate appearances against Barrios. So, 2 reasons that I think you could expect runs here. A really interesting stat I saw earlier today: the Yankees have now grounded into 80 double plays this year. That was a big sort of, rally killer for them yesterday. 13 of those are with the bases loaded. And the Blue Jays have as bad of a high leverage bullpen arm situation that you will find in the league right now. This is the worst bullpen in the league. I know you're going to have some that have like some worse metrics. For my money, the Jays have the worst bullpen in baseball right now. Their minus 1.1 WAR is dead last in the league. It's not close. 30 out of 30 major league teams. So you talk about Yankees getting on base and hitting into some double plays. Well, I don't have any faith in the Blue Jays wiggling out of a jam with guys on base, which it seems like the Yankees have no problem putting them on. They just got to knock them in now. So I do think the Yankees bounce back here. If you don't like minus 135, I would look at the over. I'll be really surprised if there's not at least 9 runs in this game.
Adam Traeger looking towards a potential run fest going on there. Yankees and the Blue Jays. And yeah, Yankees could use some runs contributed after the 2 that came across. They got no help from that side. Mets just cashed the over on their own, but maybe an over coming in this one as well. And Yankees worth a look on the money line. Let us know in the comments if you agree with backing the Yankees starting off a new series. While you're down there, make sure you like that, hit that like button, and you are subscribed here to the channel. If you're joining us here on Twitter, on X, on Instagram, or on TikTok, make sure you hit that follow button, and we'll get you that info that you know and love around the clock here on Wager Talk. TB, I want to throw back to you because you did talk the early game right here at the top, talking the Giants and Cubs. The other one we had some questions about here is this Twins game going against the D-backs. You, as a scout, I think are perfect to give us any thoughts that you have about David Festa making his first start. I don't know if you've checked him out at all in AAA, or how you just look to play teams or pitchers looking to make their first major league starts. Is it a big question mark? Does it make you cross it off the card? Do you look to fade them? Do you look to maybe bet live? Minnesota, Arizona, anything stand out to you, TB?
I never bet a game where a pitcher's making his first start, because you're going to get one or the other. He's going to come out and he's going to be amazing and shut him down for 5 innings, or he's going to get shelled. There's one or the other. It's usually not like a 5-inning, 2 earned run start like you would expect from someone like Barrios or Rodon or something like that. Usually he's going to get shelled, or he's going to absolutely shut them down. So I stay away from these games. But what I can tell you is I won the Twins yesterday, and Montgomery's not what he was last year. He's just awful this year. And the Diamondbacks bullpen is ranked 25th out of 30 teams, and their hitting, which was their only saving grace up to now, is ranked 19 out of 30. So they're toiling in mediocrity, as I like to say. They're actually sub-mediocre in hitting, whereas the Twins are ranked number 4 in hitting in all of Major League Baseball, and their bullpen is ranked 10 out of 30 right now. So if you have to bet this game, which I will not, I would take the Twins, because anytime you have the better batting and the better bullpen, I don't care what the starting pitching is, you have a chance to win. I would definitely not take them at. There's no way a person making his first start ever should be minus 110, though. There's no way. So I would stay way away from this
enough to keep you off there. I mean, the chat is just saying overplay. Jay Pacino, easy over. So the chat saying, hey, if it's his first start, you know, why don't we go with an over in this game? Trig, I'm wondering for you, because you are Mr. AAA. You do dabble in these lower level leagues, obviously. And in the case of Festa, it's not like you don't at least have some things to draw on if you have been paying attention. So for you, it's not something that I'll be honest that I can tell you what my thoughts are on the 6'6", 185-pound dude out of Seton Hall. Like, that's all I know about Festa. But do you approach it similarly to TB, or do you think, hey, if I know more about this pitcher than some people might, this could be a potential bet on spot for me? How do you approach when you got a guy making his first start in the majors? And this game specifically, what stands out to you?
Dan, I'm truly the worst salesperson on this site, because I should be telling you to go buy this. This is a 4% play for me. But I did package them together 2 for 1. So just don't clip this. We're going to keep this in the trust tree. This is for the live viewers.
This is just for the live viewers. All right.
Just for the live viewers. But also, I did put two together, so you can still buy my plays. Both of them are early, so you can still buy my pick,
Okay.
and you'll get the full count for this game. But I'm not going to hold out on the live viewers. I've watched every game that David Festa has pitched at AAA St. Paul this year. Basically, I've been waiting for him to get called up. Excuse me. And the reason for this is, as you said, I watch a lot of AAA. I also rate out all of I actually use Fangraphs is super helpful if you bet AAA to rate out the pitchers and the hitters, and it rates them in a manner that looks at the entire minor leagues. So it kind of gives you an idea of like where this prospect falls in relation to everyone in the minors based on their age, and also like, what the pitcher hitter split is in each level. And like when you get to the end of June, there's not many great big time top prospects still in AAA that are pitching prospects. And that's a newer thing because it has a lot to do with all the injuries to pitchers, right? Like there's a lot of guys. Spencer Arrighetti is one that comes to mind. Maybe Tobias Myers. Like there's a bunch of guys that probably would not have been in the big leagues. Mazer for the Padres would not have been up at this point in their careers. But the reality is, teams need arms with the way pitching drops like flies. Now the Twins haven't had that issue yet, so Festa's been able to really sort of, figure it out at the AAA level, and he's one of the only top ones that's still down there. The other one that came up most recently, that was the other sort of top 100 pitching prospect still at the AAA level, was Cade Povich, and he's been great. I think going into his last start, he had a sub 200 opponent batting average against. So Festa, he rates up there. And the other thing you got to understand too is like pitching in St. Paul in April and May, and pitching in the International League when you play the Northeast teams in AAA is brutal. A lot of rainouts, a lot of bad weather. And he endured a bunch of that. He had a couple shortened starts. He had a couple starts that got knocked into double headers. So he's finally getting like some warm weather, and he's been awesome. Like the last two starts, fantastic command. I think going off the top of my head, I did write this up though. I believe his last two starts at St. Paul, 11 2/3, 16 strikeouts, 0 walks. He reminds me of Arrighetti for Houston, except he doesn't have, in terms of like the strikeout potential, but he doesn't have the, like, he doesn't miss the zone as much. So, walks aren't as big of an issue. And so I think that translates a little better here. The other thing I love, when you've got a guy making his big league debut in this situation, even though he's on the road, he's facing a team that plays their AAA in the other league, meaning the Reno Aces for the Diamondbacks, their AAA team plays in the PCL. Festa, Twins, they play in the International League, which means there's really no exposure to him. That all of these Diamondbacks are going to be seeing him for the first time. On the other side, that's not the case. Jordan Montgomery got lit up by the Twins during his time with the Rangers last year. And the thing I talked about, Dan, I think you and I did a video last Friday or last week when Jordan Montgomery pitched against the Diamondbacks, or I'm sorry, Jordan Montgomery pitched against your Phillies is what I meant to say. And I pointed out that the Phillies lineup was not optimal to face Montgomery because they have a lot of big left-handed bats like that they rely on, the Schwarbers, the Harpers, Stott, Marsh, like all big left-handed bats. The Twins, their whole lineup is essentially right-handed hitters. And Montgomery's numbers are far worse against right-handed hitters. So, like, you've got Correa, Royce Lewis has like 10 homers and 70 at-bats since coming back. Santana can switch hit. The leadoff hitter that I'm forgetting his name is a switch hitter. Buxton bats from the right side. So, like, they have a lot of right-handed bats they can throw at Montgomery, who still has like a mid-5 ERA. So I really like the Twins. I think Festa's going to pitch fine. He's someone that I think has done it at the AAA level consistently all season. And the Diamondbacks haven't seen him at all. So I think the Twins makes a lot of sense. They are, I believe, 11-5 in their last 16 games, and in that stretch, the top batting average in baseball right now. So they're a team on the rise. I think you want to play them here. I play the Twins 4% around even money, and I think -110 is just fine.
You muted, Dan.
It would help if I wasn't muted. All I was saying is circle of trust. See, I didn't want to let it out there. Circle of trust for our man Trig there. So giving you a 4%er, that's what happens when you're tuning in live here. If you're also watching on the rewatch, don't forget to hit that like button. We would appreciate you. There's my present impersonation, leaving the mic off there. No sneezes behind the scenes, though, so no worries, gentlemen. Guys, let's swing it on. We had Tam Richardson checking in here earlier. They wanted to know about the Phillies game. Phillies on the run line. Surprising in this one, TB, that you're getting minus over $3 that we're looking at because Zach Wheeler's on the bump. He's opposed by Trevor Rogers. Yet on the run line, I mean, it's manageable. I know it's a home team, so we always talk about, you don't really want to do that. They're up big. You miss an at-bat. Minus 1.5, minus 135. I mean, anything for you in this one? Thoughts on that run line? Or do we just go to our old faithful and we ask Zach Wheeler to record a win at essentially the same price, minus 140?
Yeah, the good thing about betting sports, it's different from blackjack, is we don't have to play the hand that we're dealt. We can choose which hand
That's a good point.
We can play. And I'm staying away from this game because the Marlins actually have a pretty good bullpen despite being a horrible team. I have them ranked 28th out of 30 teams in batting, but I have their bullpen ranked 9th, which is better than the Phillies bullpen. Yes, Zach Wheeler is a great pitcher. He's 9-4 with a 2.73 ERA, and Trevor Rogers is 1-8. So if I'm going to bet this, I would not lay the 1.5 due to the fact that the Marlins have the better bullpen. What I would do is, just like you said, I would bet Zach Wheeler to get the win because he's 9-4, and the chances of him getting a win against a team that bats 28 out of 30 teams is pretty high as long as the Phillies don't blow it. They should be up when he leaves the game. So, that's probably the way I'd go if I'm going to bet anything in this one.
Well, Trig, like all that happens with this Phillies team is they keep, hey, slumps coming. Here's this past three series wins for Philadelphia. Now they started up with Miami. I know this price is wild, but we also have some folks saying, hey, do we just look towards the Phillies team total? Because it seems like whenever there's someone who's slumping in the lineup, there's a guy like Marsh who he just completely comes alive and starts raking as well. So total in this one, team total. What do you think about that one, Trig? Anything for you in this Phil's game? We also have 760 Leo saying Philly winning, Braves winning, O's winning, parlay it. We'll unpack that, but first I want to get your thoughts on this price and how you would maybe bet it, Trig.
I don't have a huge opinion on the Braves, but I don't really disagree with this parlay. I could see the Phillies winning by a touchdown here. Like so the Marlins, TV's right. The Marlins do have some decent bullpen arms. The problem is they just all pitched. Like I certainly didn't expect that Marlins Royals series to have every game basically going down to the wire, but that's pretty much what happened, right? Like the Marlins had to use 4 bullpen arms to hold off a 2-1 win on Tuesday. Yesterday they had a lead and then the bullpen gave it up late, but they still needed 4 guys to throw kind of key innings. I think people are going to maybe look at Wheeler and the fact that he got destroyed in Miami earlier this year. It was by far his worst start of the season, but I think that's probably a bad angle because Wheeler against the Marlins in his career, 17 starts, even with that horrible start earlier this year, 2.90 ERA, and he has really solid numbers against the Marlins. The other thing is Wheeler is just nasty. Like his last 12 starts, Dan. I mean, I know you've probably watched every single one of them. Opponent batting average 186. He's 9-1, right? Like his ERA is mid 2s, but he's 9-1. The Phillies have won, I think, probably 10 of those. So they typically win when he's on the mound. And Rogers for the Marlins. Last 5 appearances against Philly, a 9.58 ERA. This feels like a total blowout to me. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know. I'm certainly not going to lay minus 300. I don't disagree with our pal in the chat that wants to go Phillies to Orioles. That's probably a win. I can't see that losing out. Someone had to run the numbers on that parlay. I don't think that loses.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. I got it right here. Braves are minus 310 on the money line. Phillies minus 310 on the money line. And the O's, the cheap price of only minus 192. So you're getting plus 166 on the three-teamer there.
See, I would throw the Braves out. I would throw the Braves out and just play Phillies Orioles.
Take them out. You're looking at plus 101. Plus 101.
Yeah, that's a much better bet because I don't know. There's still something about having to go play a game on the road at Chicago that I don't love to have to. It's like I feel like it's everyone's fall asleep spot. And that Braves White Sox series earlier this year was very competitive. It was like early April, so it was. I think there was rain outs, and I think the White Sox maybe even won one of those games. I would toss the Sox out of that parlay. I would go Phillies to Orioles even money. It's a good bet.
Yeah, even money. Indeed,
that would be.
Yeah. Please do, TB.
Let me just add another one. Like for those of you who use DraftKings, you'll know that when you click the game lines tab, you can choose the minus. And if you choose a -2, it means if the Phillies win by 2, it's a push, and if they win by more than 2, you win. You'll get great odds on a -2 as well, which would be a decent way to go if you think they're going to win by a touchdown. If you think this is going to be Eagles over Dolphins by 7.
Oh man, don't get me started about the Eagles. We're going to be right around the corner talking football right here on the WagerTalk TV YouTube channel. So if you want that football content, you want to make sure that you're subscribed already because we have plenty that's going to be coming your way. I want one thing just real quick from UTB and Trig. You can give some thoughts as well. You said you like the Orioles earlier in the show. I had my man Titan CT who was saying John Gray has kind of been like one of his sneaky bet on pitchers. He said with the Rangers at a big dog price for him. And we've seen that shift around, but you shop around, you can still get some decent plus money on it. TB, would there be any worry that the Rangers could be a parlay spoiler for you? Or are you just passing that one right off the list?
Not against Corbin Burns. I mean, Burns, Zach Wheeler. We have two probably number 1, number 2 pitchers out there today. And John Gray actually is good since he's left Colorado. He's been a really good pitcher. But I certainly would not bet against Corbin Burns with any of my money. I might use your money, but I would not use mine. Definitely would never bet against Corbin Burns or Zach Wheeler in my life.
Wow. So it's an automatic cross-off spot. So there's the thoughts from Tokyo Brandon for you, CT. Hop below. You can go ahead, Trig. You can shut it down.
I was just going to agree with Tokyo Brandon. Like, think about this. You have 2 of the elite pitchers in Major League Baseball right now, Zach Wheeler, Corbin Burns. Just forget who's pitching on the other team. Just forget who the other teams are at this point, right? You have Wheeler and Corbin Burns both at home. So basically, just think about the bet like this. Wheeler and Burns, both at home, even money. You have the Phillies, who have the most ridiculous home record, like the last 2 months, that you're going to find for a stretch of Major League Baseball. What have they lost, like 5 games at home in like 2 months? Like, I think since early April, they've lost like 5 or 6 games at home, which is crazy. The Orioles, you're just getting in a great spot. They just lost back-to-back series. They just dropped a series to the Astros where they got swept, and they lost a series to the Guardians and finally broke out of that. So you have to expect that the Orioles play better. So why would you not want to have Orioles with Burns at home? They're probably not losing a 3rd straight series. I mean, look at this team, right? What are they, 25 games over 500? Like, they're probably not going to lose this series. So that's where my rationale comes with using those 2 teams.
So, guys, TB, you have anything else to add on that, or you want to swing on here to the last few games? Because we have now hit every game on the board except for 3, and 2 of them are going to be best bets here. And we've had some questions about it. Conan Mueller, he wants to hear about the Tigers game tonight. Trig's going to have a best bet in that one. But first, Tokyo Brandon has the best bet in the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Kansas City Royals. So, TB, how are we looking to bet this one? And even though we talked basically every damn game on the board, what can folks find over at your page? Because there's plenty of KBO and Asian baseball going on as well.
Yes, there is. And there's Mexican baseball too. Adam's right about the Fangraphs. I use Fangraphs religiously for my Mexican baseball, and my Mexican baseball is winning quite well. There's some really good names down there. Robinson Cano, Trevor Bauer. I mean, it's a pretty good team, pretty good players, pretty good teams, and I enjoy watching it. So Mexican baseball is good. But my feature play today is in Major League Baseball in the Cardinals and Reds game. So you can go to my page at WagerTalk.com and grab that. It's my feature play for today. But the best bet for the show, I'm going to go with the Guardians and the Royals. So Guardians have been on a major tear right now, and I have the Royals. The Royals are batting dead last in Major League Baseball right now. I have them ranked 30 out of 30 teams in batting, and I have their bullpen ranked 26 out of 30. So anytime you're facing a team that has the fourth worst bullpen and the worst batting, you've got a chance to win, especially when you're batting number 6 in all of Major League Baseball and your bullpen's ranked 14 out of 30 teams. So I have Michael Wacha ranked slightly higher than Ben Lively. And if you look at the face-to-face numbers against the opponent's batting, Wacha has great numbers against these Guardian batters, and Lively has terrible numbers against these Royal batters in his career. But both of these pitchers in their last 5 starts, in their last 5 to 6 starts, have been great. Lively got blown up, I think, for 4 runs in one of his games, if you want to call that blown up. But besides that 4-run start he had, both of these pitchers have given up 2 or less runs in their last 5 starts. So Royals, there's 2 ways I would go in this. My best bet is Guardians on the money line, but you could bet the Royals team total under as well, because I think ranked 30 in Major League Baseball in hitting, and with a terrible bullpen, just an overall terrible team. I mean, the Royals are the team that everyone loves to love. They're lovable losers, but they started the season off with a bang, but they're fizzling out quite quickly. So my best bet for the show is the Guardians on the money line. Guardians are just smashing the ball right now and seem pretty unstoppable. I'm not hugely confident in backing Ben Lively, but like I said, after his besides his 4-run barfing on the mound, actually Green barfed on the mound the other day. That was actually kind of interesting to see. But
he just kept on pitching.
Besides Ben Lively, yeah, he actually barfed like mid pitch, which was kind of interesting.
Impressive.
But anyways,
Great, man.
Yeah, it was impressive. But but Ben Lively's not a guy I usually back. But the Guardians are just such a better team than the Royals here. So I think them on the money line is good value. So that's my best bet for the show.
Looking towards the Cleveland Guardians, the concern in the chat is Tyler pointing out, I have not heard a soul say that they are on the Royals today. So this is like a MLB ride. Many folks, including our man Ralph Michaels, who was on Wager Talk today earlier, looking towards the Guardians in this one. So if you believe in those spooky contrarian gods, maybe be worried about that one. But TV says, no, forget it. Give me the Cleveland. Nice price. Money line. That's the best bet for him. Go over, check out his best bets over at his page, wt.buzz/TB. Trig, you got a best bet for us as well. A lot of folks were thinking, hey, do we hit the Tigers in the first 5 here today? What's the thoughts on Detroit now that they don't have to play the Phillies? They get to play the Angels, and who doesn't want that on their resume? How are you looking to bet this one? It's been one that's come up quite a few times here in the chat, so we wanted to save it for the last. And Trig, I know you basically gave away the card for the live viewers, but you can still tell them how they can rock with you long term over at WagerTalk.com. Angels, Tigers, what's the best bet, and what are the clients getting?
Oh, no, I still have – so I have 2 4% MLB plays that both go in early games today. I packaged them together, so – I gave you one of them with the Twins, but the other one is still up there. And I do have a couple of really good Major League Baseball specials. Specifically, I believe my full season's still up at like a really big discount, and I think that's only going to be up until like Saturday or Sunday. So that's over at wt.buzz/at. And you, of course, if you get it before, let's say, 3:30. We'll get both of today's plays on there as well. Another one I'm looking at for tonight. I probably won't get to the window with this for a client play, but this is certainly the way I was looking. And it looks like the market agrees with me, is Angels plus 1.5. So here's the thing, Dan. I've had to field the Cubs hate in my inbox for weeks because I went on shows prior to the season. I gave out Cubs every which way to like win the NL Central, all these future bets. They clearly suck. People have reminded me of that over the last couple of weeks. But what you're forgetting is on those same shows prior to the start of the season, I said this Tigers team was going to suck, and they do. And you know what? The most popular season win total going into the year was Tigers over 82.5 games. I said that this team's being priced on the market on a day-to-day basis like they're going to win 85 to 90. And what's insane to me is here we are. They're 37-43. The team is falling apart at the seams. It's very obvious. They already basically said they're going to, they didn't say this, but it looks very likely they're going to trade Jack Flaherty by the trade deadline since he's a free agent at the end of the year. And yet they still get priced as this like above average superior team. Here we are on the road. Earlier today, they were like a minus 160 favorite. When I picked this game out, Angels were still like plus 1.5, minus 115, which I thought was wild. Now, Flaherty's been really good. I have nothing to say against that. One run. He's given up one run on a solo homer his last 4 starts. That's 22 and a third innings pitched. But I still think the Angels could potentially overcome that here. Like I said, I don't think you'll see Flaherty in a Tiger uniform much longer, which tells me that the Tigers are sellers, which kind of makes sense. His team is kind of a mess. Spencer Torkelson was supposed to be their stud. He's down in AAA trying to figure things out. They've had a couple injuries. Kerry Carpenter's been out. They probably would have brought Jace Jung up, but he got hurt down at AAA. So they've been rolling with, I think it's McKinstry and Kreider at shortstop, basically both hitting under 200. So whoever they have in the lineup between those two is a hole in the lineup. They called up Justin Henry Malloy. He's been terrible. He'll probably get sent back down as soon as they've got someone else that can actually play popping up. So this is a bad baseball team right now. So I don't see how you go and lay that type of price on the road or lay the minus 1.5. The reason people are probably doing it, they see Davis Daniel, they have no clue who he is. So I'll fill in the blank there. It's his first career start. He was up toward the end of the last year as a reliever. From what I've seen with him at AAA this year, he's been like consistently okay. Like he's been pretty solid. Like nothing he does really jumps off the page, but he regularly goes 6 innings. He throws strikes. That's a big thing for me when I watch guys at AAA is, do they lose the zone? Do they have trouble with command? And he has pretty good command of the zone. I know he's averaging over a strikeout per inning. He's definitely going to give hits up, but he tends to work around them. Overall, I think his stuff is above average. I thought he would be a better reliever than starter, but he's someone that I think can keep you in the game here. The interesting thing about the Angels recently, Ben Joyce has looked phenomenal. You guys probably remember him from his time with the Tennessee Vols, was throwing like 105 in college. He had an 8 ERA a couple weeks ago. His last 4 times out, he's been awesome. I don't think he's even given up a hit. He definitely hasn't given up a run. He's throwing 102, out of the bullpen for the Angels. And then they just called up Hans Kraus. Sounds more like someone you would hear about in the Euro right now, but he's been outstanding. He was one of the best relievers down at AAA, and in 3 relief outings since he's been called up, he's thrown 4 scoreless innings. I don't think he's given up a hit yet either. So, you've got some really decent options out of the bullpen for the Angels, all of which are likely to pitch today if they're tied or in the lead, which I think Davis Daniel can hang around in this game against the Tigers lineup that's just not very good. So I thought, Angels, they've got a little bit of momentum. They just swept the A's. Miguel Sano is back. He was a monster last week for Salt Lake. They let him rehab the whole week. He had like 15 RBIs in a 5-game stretch. He's back up. He hasn't been up with the team since mid-April. So I think the Angels, dare I say they're on the incline right now. I still don't like this team very much, but I think they're maybe on the come up, and maybe they get the Tigers here. At least a +1.5 seems to make a lot of sense to me.
+1.5, the breakdown from Trig there. So hop low in the comments. Let us know what you're looking. Hey, all you folks who love that first 5 look still for your Tigers, you can cash both of them. But Trig saying he's taking the 1.5 with the Angels for his best bet. Gentlemen, the one game that we didn't touch upon today as we're shutting down here was the Cincinnati Reds, St. Louis Cardinals. So since we didn't touch upon it, I'll give you a little bet in this one that I'm going to sprinkle. I went over to Ralph Michaels' page on Twitter at CalSportsLV. Every day he posts his first inning report. If you're Yerfy and Nerfy bettors, and these are two teams, I know it's Abbott, I know it's Mikolas, I know that maybe the ERAs you don't love there in the records, but 3-0 Nerfy run for Cincinnati, 3-1 Nerfy run for St. Louis, a total that's ticked down a full run from 8.5 to 7.5, has all the makings of maybe an under. So when we like an under, we go for a Nerfy. Started off with no run first innings, Cincinnati and St. Louis. Now we have truly covered every game on the board for you. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, guys. Come on. What are you doing? Give a like for Adam Trigger. Give a like for Tokyo Brandon.
Damn.
Again, Tokyo Brandon, go ahead. What's up, TB?
Before you wrap it up, sounds like you're wrapping it up, but I just want to throw out there, if we're going to talk about specials, and this applies to Adam and myself, who both capped the KBO, but WagerTalk is allowing us to do all non-Major League Baseball plays at half off until the All-Star break. So that would include Adam and my KBO, and my
Good call,
Mexican
TV.
baseball
Forgot
and
about
Japanese baseball as
Well
well. So
done.
just wanted to throw that out.
That was well done.
Before you
That's
wrap
that.
I'll probably have a KBO. I'll probably have a KBO up for the morning too. Good call. Totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Half off sounds good to me, especially, I mean, it's just a thanks. Go and grab these guys half off KBO plays that are still absolutely ripping. They just gave you every game on the MLB card, and you get the dancer on the way out. We're excited for you here.
I didn't
so dance your ass on over.
This is our KBO reunion today.
Or WT.buzz/AT. Grab those packages today. Half price. Didn't even know that was going on. So appreciate that. I'll throw that in my notes for next time. Thanks for tuning in with us live, whether you're doing it on YouTube, whether you're on X, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on Instagram. We wouldn't be here without you. So hit that like button, hit that follow, and hit that subscribe, because we'll be back locked and loaded with a Friday edition, getting you ready to go for the weekend with some MLB winners. That's coming your way tomorrow. But until then, you don't have to go far. You can check out the video on your screen. You can check out the links in the description below to keep getting all the info you need to cash on all the sports you love. We do it on an hourly basis right here on WagerTalk TV. Best of luck until next time, folks. We'll see you then.